I really don't know that many people who are pronouncing this word correctly. Hello you, welcome to a pronunciation class. So many of you who follow me on Instagram are obsessed with wanting to know how to pronounce these ancient Sanskrit words correctly. And this is one that honestly I see so many people pronouncing wrong, but also it feels like a really easy one, so people get confused as to why they're saying it wrong or how they're getting it wrong. Anyway, it all just feels really confusing, and I'm here to make it less confusing for you. Today we are talking about the primordial sound of the universe, the most sacred sound, and that is the mantra and the sound Om. And so I think one of the biggest misconceptions here is that you've got your O and you've got your M, and so it's Om. And we often see that, but actually there are two ways to spell this word. You can either spell it O-M or you can spell it A-U-M. And I always say, try and remember the A-U-M spelling. And this is because this is an indicator as to how we're pronouncing it. So before we get into actually how to say it, let's talk a little bit about what it means and also why it's so important we pronounce these words correctly. Om, like I mentioned, is the primordial sound of the universe. It's known as the sound that connects us all together. So it connects you with everything else that's living in the world, from the trees to the plants to the other people and to yourself. When we chant these sacred mantras, be it Om, be it Shanti, whatever it might be, we create different vibrations within our body. They are incredible ways to, from a scientific perspective, calm our vagus nerve, relax our nervous system, get ourselves into a space of feeling safe. And there's loads of studies that have proved this. Whether we're singing or whether we're chanting, that is something that calms us and relaxes us and essentially communicates to a part of the brain known as the amygdala that we are safe. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. Actually something that we all need a lot more of. Also, from a cultural perspective, it's really important that we're not just blindly saying these words with A, a lack of understanding, and B, a lack of pronunciation, because that is where the appropriation comes in. So we can learn what the word means and how to say it and really truly appreciate the culture from where yoga originated, which I think is super important. And you know that I bang on about this all over my socials because it is super, super important for us all to respect yoga's roots. So let's get into the pronunciation. I want you to think about that A-U-M, and these are the sounds we're making in our mouth. The A is ah, U, U, M. Mouth is changing, and the mouth changing creates those different vibrations. So you heard me talk there about 3 sounds, but actually there are 4 sounds that make up this mantra. You have the ah, U, M is the way that you're creating your mouth, and that final and 4th sound is silence. Yeah, silence at the end of chanting is so important. I see so many of my clients, and when I teach people on our retreats, in person, in classes, at workshops, I see people chant and then just open their eyes or start talking or kind of move on to the next thing. It's really important actually to take a moment to keep the eyes closed and to stay in that inwards little bubble of having just chanted, having just connected, having tapped more into this spiritual side within ourselves, feeling into whatever feelings are there for you, whatever emotions come up, really allowing yourself to feel into it. Because as soon as we open the eyes, you lose part of it. When we open our eyes, you've got all of this external stimuli overwhelming you, okay? So we keep our eyes closed. That's the practice of pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. Keeping that sense inwards, keeping the eyes closed, allows you to absorb the benefits of chanting any mantra, whatever it is. Even any meditation, any breathwork technique, any yoga asana, any movement, take your time. Don't rush out of it and try to move on to the next thing. Take your time to really soak it up. The thing I want you to also know is how long we chant each syllable is really important. So we want the duration to be the same. So you're making your mouth in those 3 shapes, but you're also chanting the for the same ratio. So you got to play around with how long to do that, but maybe like 2 counts, 2 counts, 2 counts, or 3 counts, 3 counts, 3 counts, 5 counts, 5 counts, 5 counts, maybe it's 1, 1, 1. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what the ratio is, it just matters the duration for each one is the same, okay? So it doesn't matter for necessarily how long you're chanting, and certainly the tone and that vibrational state as to whether it's a really high or it's a really low, it doesn't really matter. More importantly is the ratio between the three, so what those numbers are being in an equal ratio. So we're obviously going to close this class with doing a little bit of chanting, my favourite. I'd like you to come into a seated position, cross-legged, or you could be kneeling. Sit up a little bit taller, close the eyes, take a deep breath in, deep breath out through the mouth. Maybe flutter the lips, let's do 2 more, inhale. Letting it all go, big breath in, big audible sigh. Good, and you can keep your hands where they are, maybe the palms face up to the sky in receiving mode. Maybe we bring the hands into Anjali Mudra, prayer position, center of the chest. We are chanting our Om, thinking about those 4 sounds. Take an inhale, think about the positioning of the mouth. Keeping the eyes closed, staying inwards, noticing any change in your physical state, in your emotional state, and in your spiritual state. And slowly releasing your hands down, but keep the eyes closed. Feeling into those vibrations pulsating through you. Observing any shifts and changes at all that you feel in your body. Everything is welcome. And slowly, when you're ready, fluttering the eyes open, welcoming back to the space. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice, understanding how to properly chant the mantra Om. There is so much you can learn about that divine, sacred sound, the real depth of the meaning. And also now you know how to pronounce it, hopefully you get the real benefits of that word. But also you do so in a way that is truly respectful, whether you're chanting on your own or whether you're a yoga teacher and you're sharing it with people. You know that you can bring the culture in, but do it in a way that is super respectful to its roots. Thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you very soon in our next class. Bye.